People of Reddit who work in a casino, what's some of the saddest moments you witnessed? I did casino security for 3 years before I became a police officer. Had a Code M, medical, early one morning, around 4 or 5 a.m. Old guy in his 80s passed out and fell out of his chair, wife sitting next to him. I was the first to get to him, did a quick assessment, and found he didn't have a pulse. Immediately started cardiopulmonary resuscitation. The old lady looked over and said, "Oh, he does this all the time, don't worry about him." Between chest compressions, I told her he wasn't breathing, and she just kept playing her a lot machine. She didn't miss a spin even when the paramedics took him away. I saw her again the next night and asked how he was doing. With the straightest face ever, she said, "Oh, he never woke up. I'm sure he's in a freezer by now," and went right back to the same machine she was playing the night before. I worked at a casino as a dealer through college. A lot of incidents were pretty sad, especially with regulars that you liked. One regular would tell me about his middle school-age kids, and then I would realize the next week or so later that he was missing their school plays, recitals, etc. because he was at the tables. I remember working an overnight one Christmas Eve and begging him to go home when 6 or 7 a.m. rolled around because his kids would be up and opening presents. Other times just people screaming at you for stealing their mortgage payments from them that month, then seeing them back again the next day. Geez, that's really depressing. Are you allowed to encourage people to leave the tables, or are you told not to do that? It's a really murky area for sure. This was in the UKC 2002 to 2006. During training, we were told we could offer leaflets about gambling addiction to customers we thought had a problem, but that it was a delicate issue best left to pit bosses and managers who were also on the floor. One time a guy who was always on the machines asked me for help, and I showed him the materials we had, and then he got really angry with me for suggesting he had a problem. So I didn't try that again. The Christmas Day guy, though, I begged him to leave, not as a dealer in a casino, but as a person who'd had an absentee father during childhood. He just wouldn't. During my 8-hour shift, a gentleman won $15,000 on a slot machine, punched out at end of shift and had the next 2 days off. Returned to work after my weekend to find the man still sitting at the same slot machine. He had been there for 2+ days, losing $15,000. We used to have a woman who would be on the blackjack tables for 5 days, nights straight. Her husband would call and tell her that her kids wanted her home. Her boss actually came to the casino to try and get her to leave. She was missing work. I don't know what happened to her, but she's probably ruined her life. We also had a few regulars commit suicide and a few go to jail. We had to evacuate and close down for the rest of the day due to a burst pipe causing no running water. When I walked outside, there was an elderly lady throwing a legit tantrum in the parking lot. She was on the ground kicking and screaming. Her scream sounded like something you'd expect from someone who just lost a family member, not someone who had to leave the casino for a few hours. I left, but some of the security who were dealing with her told me later she was too upset to drive home, and they had to call a family member to pick her up. I've seen some shit. A lot of what others have commented is fairly common, but this was definitely the most messed up. There were these 2 middle-aged Greek or Cypriot ladies who were always on the slot machines. Every day when I started my shift, and they were there when I finished 10 hours later. And still, there in the same clothes the next day oftentimes. They were super nice and always polite to the staff. One day, they hit the jackpot and win big. I think it was either £15,000 or £45,000. It was a good few years ago now. Everyone was overjoyed for them, except the managers, obviously. Well, the managers then gave them free meals at the restaurant and an open bar tab until every single penny of that money was clawed back into the casino. Free meals at the restaurant and an open bar tab until every single penny of that money was clawed back into the casino standard operating procedure. Winners who are signed up for casino memberships get mailed free stays and other various freebies to keep them returning to the casino. My old roomie went to Vegas to party. She gambled for kicks but knew better to treat it as fun, not a monetary risk. We'd laugh when we got the casino freebies sent to our mail in Canada. Grandmother, mother, and daughter heading to the casino by car from 2 hours away. Mother had a postcard to get a free cast iron pan for showing up. Daughter is more than 8 months pregnant. 1 hour away from the casino, daughter starts to have labor pains. Mother won't stop and take her to the hospital. She's got to have that $10 pan. They arrive at the casino an hour before the promotion was going to start. Mother raises all hell trying to get her pan, but the workers for the promo haven't arrived yet. Daughter ends up having to be transported by ambulance to the hospital. all over a $10 pan. My mom works as a dealer at a casino and has told me multiple stories of grown men wearing adult diapers at the table so they don't have to leave to use the restroom. As a Vegas regular, I can attest it is orders of magnitude worse when they do not wear the diapers. I don't work in a casino, but live near Atlantic City. Seeing unattended children playing near the entrance to the casino floor where children aren't allowed, you brought your kids to a casino where kids aren't allowed and just left them in a hallway. I went to a casino for the first time a few years ago with a group for my mother-in-law's birthday. There were signs everywhere stating that it is a crime to leave children unattended in your car in the parking lot. Pretty fucking sad. It's been about 15 years, but I worked in one for about 4 years. The one that stands out was a woman who came from the country to the big city to get Xmas gifts for the whole family, including young kids who still believed in Santa and all of that, but spent all of the Christmas money at the casino before going to the mall. Also, a few years later, I went back to visit, and when talking to one of the pit bosses about who was still there and whatnot, she told me one of my old regulars, who was actually nice and likable, a rare trait in that business, had recently committed suicide as a result of gambling too much. Worked in a casino for about 7 years, and the one that has always stuck with me was when a kid, 18 or 19, came with his friends and lost $100 playing blackjack. Then he was sitting there looking dejected and watching his friends win. He left and came back with another $100. I could tell from the way he was acting he probably didn't have the original $100 to lose, so he definitely couldn't afford to lose another $100, so I asked if he was sure he wanted to play. He nodded his head and solemnly said yes. Unfortunately, he lost that money too. Former poker dealer at a casino. An older gentleman started to have a heart attack at the table. I called the floor person for assistance with the call button. Paramedics are rushed in, etc. All within minutes. I'm instructed to keep the game rolling by the floor person, as he whispered in my ear. 2 hands are dealt and played, and a player at the table requested the heart attack guy get moved somewhere else as it is disrupting the game. Another player asked to have his chips picked up and call for the open seat, because we have a wait list. It's not the big things, it's the little things. You see someone rocking 3 machines at 9 a.m. on a Tuesday? They have places they ought to be, not in this casino. Thanksgiving, Christmas, hell, even Mother's Day, places slammed. Go home, people. Dealt poker in a casino for 3 years. One of my fellow dealers was arrested on the gaming floor during our shift for stealing rake. I had told him a week or so earlier to be less obvious about it. We had clear tip boxes. He had custody of his 4 kids. Emphasis on had. Not a casino, but a charity poker room at a bowling alley where I was a dealer. Guy was pretty drunk and just so bad at poker. Kept losing the max buy-in, $300, and would go straight to the ATM and rebuy. With every rebuy, the desperation became greater and greater. I just wanted to tell him to pack it up before he lost more. But that would have probably cost me my job. Eventually, I think he must have emptied his bank account. I had never seen someone lose so much money in one night. In general, people who come for the first time and are super nice and friendly, they don't care about winning or losing much, just came to have fun. They come back a few more times, then after a few years they're regulars that don't smile anymore. They don't laugh. They don't count their wins, just their losses, and sweat every comp point they earn and act like gambling is their job now and the focus of their life. I've seen more than one person have this happen to them. Other saddest thing is when a regular stops coming in and their spouse comes out and tells us they passed. We're almost family with some of our regulars, and it hurts to get that news. Be sure to watch other cool stories on the channel. You should definitely like them. Also, do not forget to subscribe to the channel. See you, bye.